Irene at osmail.com. Dear Vera and Howard, I have been in a torment of agony since I emailed my apology to you both a few days ago, and having heard nothing in return. Did you get the flowers I sent yet, Howard? And Vera, have you received the cookery book I found for you, 101 Ways to Serve Kangaroo Imaginatively? I'm not fishing for gratitude, merely checking. As always, I have found some solace in the creative arts, and send you this poem which woke me up in the middle of the night, demanding to be penned. I hope and pray that it may go some way to stop me being a persona non gratis in your eyes. I really do value our friendship, and hope and pray that it does not continue to be erstwhile. With a heart filled with shame, Irene. An Ode by Irene Spencer. They say that all the world's a stage, and we mere players on it. So your humble servant, I, Irene, give you this modest sonnet. I wish that I could turn back time and have never ever sent the email, writ impulsively, in which my rage was spent. Dear Vera Small, and Howard too, that sweet fruit of your loins, if apologies were money, I would shower you both with coins. Please look at me with love again, and don't be filled with hate. Excuses are empty, as I know, but I've not been too well of late.
Vera's Voyages at littleshag.com. Dear Irene, I have pondered long and hard on whether to accept your apology, albeit put off by the appalling doggerel. I do hope you're not throwing good money away on this creative writing course. I was in such a quandary about it, I even emailed my global network for advice. It seems to have struck a chord. I downloaded lots of replies. Obviously a plethora of people feel abused by their so-called friends. My Indian pals Raj and Shiva, boys at bumchums.com, think I should definitely forgive you. They say it will bring me good karma. But there again, every beggar in India will promise you that for 20 rupees. Yasmin, remember Yasmin, my next-door neighbour on the trailer park, psychic at farshores.com, gave you an absent tarot reading and came up with the Queen of Cups. She's the one holding a large wine glass and surrounded by flagons. She says to leave that with you. Even silly old Edward Blunt, your erstwhile suitor, Blunt at foulshag.com, stuck in his oar, or should I say straw. He says you've kept your hand on your own halfpenny for so long. I've no idea how he knows. You haven't noticed there's been devaluation. After many sleepless nights, answering the dratted email, I finally decided to excuse your behaviour. It is, as our long history demonstrates, ingrained in my nature. Besides, I know the sort of things you get up to when you're depressed, and I couldn't bear to have that on my conscience. My son Howard and his partner Anthony say thank you for the bouquet of birds of paradise. They're an outlandish sight in Great Shagthorn, but I dare say they are common or garden, perhaps literally, in Australia. Anyway, they have pride of place by the four-poster bed in a heritage-style milking bucket, and the boys say to tell you they had a lot of fun with the spiky bits. I'm enclosing a booklet my granddaughter Sabrina brought home from school on sex education, which reminds me 101 Ways with a Kangaroo went straight in the bin. If this explanatory little work persuades playground bullies to behave like fully functioning citizens, which I doubt, Sabrina is called all sorts of names because she has short hair and likes football, it may have the same effect on you. At least it will provide an alternative to your blind, cliché-ridden prejudices. All for now. Must stop and do something important, like work on my recipe book proposal. I advise you to do something practical next time you feel a poem coming on. Vera.
Irene at osmail.com. Dear Vera, thank you for your email at last. I can't tell you how relieved I am that we are speaking again. And thank you for the very informative booklet on sex education. I learnt more perusing that for half an hour than I have hitherto learnt in a lifetime. I'm rather cross with Edward Blunt, though, for being so indiscreet on my behalf. And, as always, there are two sides to that story. All I was after was friendship, but it appears he had other things on his mind which I kept trying to ignore. You remember finding his truss in your apartment after I'd been staying there? I'd just popped out to make some tea, and when I returned to the living room, he was in his birthday suit, lolling on the chaise lounge. I was so shocked I dropped his cup in his lap, hence, after a lot of agonised hopping about and blue language, his hasty departure, and forgetfulness in the underwear department. I'm not normally prone to depression, as you know, except when I'm in Australia. It seems I travel all those thousands of miles each time just to be ignored by my daughter and treated like a maid of all work. Of course, it's wonderful to see my grandchildren, just not every minute of every day. I have been worrying, too, about the mystery man stalker that I left behind me in Blighty. My next-door neighbour Barl wrote to me last week, telling me she'd seen him again hanging around my house. Did you ever get to speak to D.C. Hogg of Heather Green CID? Do please try again if you haven't. Please give my love to Howard and Anthony, and say I'm glad they like the flowers. You don't mention if you tried making any of the dishes before you binned the kangaroo book. Heavens, you must have been cross with me. I've never known you look a gift horse in the mouth before. Baby Bubbles is crying to be changed, and it's almost time to collect Cheryl Marie from school, so I'll have to finish. Yours in haste and heartfelt gratitude, Irene, XX.
Vera's Voyages at littleshag.com. Dear Irene, I've been wondering what had happened to the mystery man. I haven't seen him at all since the swimming pool incident. In fact, I've rather missed him. I felt we'd established a bond. I tried D.C. Hogg again, but although I left another message, he didn't return my call. No wonder the police are always calling for extra resources. So I dropped the enclosed note to him. I'm so glad you discovered the truth about Edward Blunt before you got too involved. I didn't like to say so before, but I had a similar problem with him. We'd been to a countryside alliance rally where Edward was making a speech in support of fox hunting. He is, when all's said and done, a poultry farmer. Edward got carried away with all the cheering and backslapping and waving of the St. George's flag, and when taking me home threw me on my back in the poultry van and attempted to have his way with me. Fortunately, he'd had one too many old peculiars, and I was able to fend him off quite easily. I shoved a knee in his crutch, hence the truss, and crowned him with a chicken basket. While he was rolling around in foul droppings, I gave him a piece of my mind. And whatever he said, that's all I gave him. I'm afraid he spends too much time with his cockerels. Must stop now and do the washing, ironing, gardening and cooking, while Sabrina is at school and Nelson is tied to his playpen. We had to stop using the baby bouncer. His legs are so long he kept hitting the ceiling. No time for depression. Love, Vera. P.S. Retrieved the kangaroo book from the bin and experimented with braised sweetbreads. We found it more of a snack than a meal. Perhaps on a kangaroo they are larger. The Coach House Apartment, The Bothy, Long Lane, Little Shagthorne, Darbs. Dear D.C. Hogg, you may have been puzzled by the string of expletives left on your voicemail, but having tried many times to contact you by telephone, I'm afraid I was overcome by frustration. I was calling on behalf of my old acquaintance, Irene Spencer, who claims she was being plagued by a mystery man stalker before her recent departure for Australia. I, too, have had sightings of this mystery man in my home village of Little Shagthorne, and am therefore in a position to give you an unbiased description. He is tall, in the prime of life, about 40, with a youthful complexion, golden locks, and a lovely smile. Far from being threatening, he is kind and chivalrous. Indeed, I was rescued by him from an unfortunate accident. If it hadn't been for his prompt action, I might have languished at the bottom of a muddy pit for days. But like a prince in a fairy tale, he disappeared before I could thank him. I understand, though one has to take everything Irene says with a pinch of salt, he has been sighted back in Heather Green. If you can fit reading this letter and apprehending him into your busy schedule, I'd like to be the first to know. Do please contact me at the above address if I can be of further assistance. Yours very sincerely, Vera Small.
Irene at osmail.com. Dear Vera, Karen and Singen and little Sabrina and baby boy Nelson, Howard and Anthony, rejoice, rejoice. My daughter Leslie is finally engaged to be married to Mr. Brian Benbow of St. Urban, Melbourne. Excitedly yours, proud mum Irene, XXXXXXX.
Room 6, Blair Ward, Princess Diana Memorial Wing, Great Shagthorne Cottage Hospital. Dear Irene, penning a quick notelet while waiting for Karen to come round from anaesthetic. She was safely delivered of a little girl at 4 a.m. this morning. Singen was woken at 2 a.m. by an emergency call, and we rushed to the hospital to watch them perform a caesarean section. Fascinating. Karen made a great fuss, howling and thrashing, and when Singen offered her his hand, she bit it. I pointed out to her that it would be a great deal worse if she had to go through proper labour. As it was, the triage nurse gave her an injection which knocked her out, and all she has to deal with is a few stitches. As the baby is so premature, she was taken straight to an incubator. Fortunately, they still have them in the private wing. She's absolutely sweet, though very small, not a bit like Nelson. So, my dear, we both have reason to celebrate. I'm so pleased for you that Leslie is engaged at last. I've read between the lines and know that with your straight-laced views you found the situation there humiliating and embarrassing. When exactly are they getting married? Anyway, Singen, Howard and I send congratulations, as will Karen when she surfaces. Oh, I can hear some stirrings from the bed. Oh, it was just Karen demanding another injection. I managed to tell her Leslie's news, but all she said was poor cow. When I asked her if she'd thought of an appropriate name for the baby, she muttered, F-word millennium. Of course, she's still very groggy. If she sticks to it, we'll all call the little scrap Millie. Lots of love from all of us to all of you. Kiss, kiss, Vera.
Irene at osmail.com. Congratulations, Granny Small, you've done it again. Leslie's wedding, 13th of next month. I'm so excited. You're all invited. Would love to have you over to help with the catering if Karen can spare you. Lots of love, Irene X. On the Birth of Your New Baby by Irene Spencer. Congratulations, Karen dear. Sing ho, sing high, sing hey. For unto you is born a girl this bright and sunny day. May blessings fall upon your heads and all your dreams come true. These flowers and these kisses are with love from me to you. Irene XX. Irene at osmail.com. Vera, wedding off. Don't come. I'm in despair. Irene.
Vera's Voyages at littleshag.com. Dear Irene, I'm so excited about your daughter's wedding in Australia, too. Every time I look at Vera's Voyages on my email address, I think it's high time I went on another one. I could certainly do with a break from the bothy. I work 14 hours without even the minimum wage. Gone are the days when being over 60 meant welcome retirement. My daughter Karen won't be able to come, much as she'd like to, as she has to stay and feed little Millie, who's still in the incubator. Karen's grumbling that she's nothing but a milking machine. Her husband Singen can't take the time off, and my grandson Nelson is far too much of a handful, so it'll be just me and my granddaughter Sabrina. I'll have to get a full fare ticket for her. She's so tall and tomboyish you won't recognise her. Hope I'll be able to persuade her out of her football boots for the wedding. Later. Have searched the World Wide Web for travel arrangements and come up with bomb.com, which is offering flights at miraculously low prices. All being well, Sabrina and I will be with you on the 10th, in good time for me to give you a hand with the catering. In the meantime, I've attached a favourite recipe. You should be able to get the ingredients, and it's ever so easy, even for an amateur. Lots of love, Vera. Curried bananas. Bananas, ginger wine, garlic, chilli powder. Marinate bananas overnight, then pop in the oven for 20 minutes. Or, if you're feeling brave, flambe.
Karen at greatshag.com. Dear Leslie, gutted I won't be at your wedding. Are you sure you know what you're doing? I said keep the ring, not Brian. Anyway, lots of luck, girl. Karen.
Leslie at osmail.com. Dear Karen, what are you going on about? I have kept the ring and dumped Brian. Mum's going demented about it. So what else is new? Leslie, X.
Irene at osmail.com. Vera, didn't you get my last email? I said the wedding's off and not to come. Don't tell me you've bought your tickets already or I'll never forgive myself. Reply immediately, marked urgent. I need to know whether to worry or not. Yours in desperation of newfangled methods of so-called communication, Irene.
Vera's Voyages at littleshag.com. Urgent. Dear Irene. No, I didn't get your last email. Are you sure it wasn't in your return mail? My recipe book proposal came back saying service undeliverable. So, taking advantage of the remarkable discounts offered on the net, I booked and paid for the plane tickets. Needless to say, bomb.com won't consider a refund. I'm sure it's not Brian who's called it off after all he's promised. Don't you think your daughter Leslie's just having an attack of pre-wedding jitters? She probably needs a good talking to about shouldering her responsibilities, and I'm sure between us we can deliver it. There's baby Bubbles to consider, to say nothing of the trouble and expense all their guests have been to. I've spent a fortune on a hyacinth pink silk two-piece with matching petal hat. Of course I'll get the wear out of it on my next Dale's TV appearance, but still. So, we'll be with you on the 10th as planned. I shall copy and paste this into my letter format now and put it in the post to be absolutely sure you get it. You're quite right. No matter how despised by modernisers, the tried and trusted methods are best. Love from us all, and a bracing thump for Leslie, V.
My bedroom, Byron Street, St Urban, Melbourne, Australia. Dear Vera, by the time you read this, you will be sitting here in my bedroom, and I will be on a plane back to Blighty. Tried emailing and phoning to stop you, but you'd already left Little Shagthorne. Why on earth did you think it would take you 2 days to get to the airport? I've heard of leaving in plenty of time, but really? Have had an absolute bombshell dropped into my life. See attached letter from Barl next door in Heather Green. She always goes in to water plants when I'm away, and to switch lights on and off and open and close curtains in a stimulation of me being in residence. Don't know what I'm going to walk into when I get back. My poor little house. Now tell me I was overreacting about the mystery man stalker if you dare. But character judgment has never been your greatest strength. No time now. I'm flinging things in suitcase as I write, hence the scribble. Make yourself completely at home while you're here. What's mine is yours, as you know, which most likely, if I know my daughter Leslie, will mean full childcare duties and all housekeeping, cleaning and cooking. See if you can drum some sense into her about marrying Brian, and feel absolutely free to deliver that bracing thump you mentioned in your last. Ill wind! Had a small win on Tats Lotto this week, Australia's national lottery, so will be buying myself a computer when I pass through Kuala Lumpur duty-free on my way home. Will let you know my new email address, and you should get Leslie to give you one while you're here. Love to Sabrina. Little Cheryl Marie is dying to meet her. More soon, in haste and trepidation, Irene. Fort to the Limes, Heather Green. Dear Irene, I'm ever so sorry to tell you you've been broken into. I was taken badly again and had to go into hospital for a couple of days with my bottom, so wasn't doing the usual with the curtains and lights. Got back to a bomb site. Police got your door boarded up. It had been kicked in. Your telly's gone, and your video, but I can't tell what else, as it's such a mess. I'm sending you the red notice from the border-uppers. They've been round in person to try to get their money from me, but I couldn't afford to pay them on my pension. Apparently they got let down a lot, what with the police calling them in and then people not paying, so their new company policy is to rip the boarding down again if they don't get their money within a week. Can you come home? Otherwise, I may as well put a notice up over your door telling people to help themselves, let alone the weather coming into your lounge. Haven't told you the worst. That chap who I've seen hanging around and who roped through your dustbin that time was seen running off after the break-in by Betty Slapper up the street. Last night, coming home from bingo, I saw him and screamed burglar. Instead of running away, he came over, bold as brass, and said to tell you he's got your stuff in safekeeping. Have told police, and they're waiting for a ransom notice. They're flummoxed. They've never heard of a telly being kidnapped before. Can you bring me cherry brandy from duty-free this time? I've gone off Midori. Yours faithfully, Barl next door.
Vera's Voyages at osmail.com. Dear Singen and Karen, amazed to arrive and find Irene already gone. Rather put out after a 3-day journey. No wonder bomb.com was so insistent about getting to the airport early. It was like a rugger scrum to get onto the plane. Then we had to wait while they put the door back on. Irene had left a note insisting that she'd tried to email and phone about her change of plans, but as Leslie has subsequently confided, owing to a recurrence of her old trouble, she is getting increasingly forgetful. Apparently she is now convinced that her mystery man stalker has broken into her home and stolen her video for ransom purposes. It seems unlikely. I await her next communication with dread. Goodness knows what fanciful explanation she'll dream up. In the meantime, Leslie has made us very welcome. What a charming girl she is, not a bit like Irene's descriptions of her. I can see exactly why she doesn't want to marry Brian. He's fat and bald and 20 years her senior. More importantly, his .com shares have taken a nosedive, and what with the alimony he has to pay, he's unable to provide Leslie with any of the promised comforts. She has kept the engagement ring, a large solitaire, and the hot tub in the garden. We've all had a lot of fun in that, though Sabrina does like to play rough with Cheryl Marie. Must stop, I can hear splashing and screaming from the garden. Later. Sabrina was holding Cheryl Marie's head under water again. Although they're the same age, Cheryl Marie is tiny and very feminine, and of course she wasn't brought up on a trailer park. Baby Bubbles is going to be another little beauty. She's as good as her golden hair. She obviously doesn't get that from Brian, and much less demanding than my grandson Nelson. Hope you're not finding looking after him too arduous, Karen. Still, you got plenty of rest lying on your back for a month in hospital. All love, V/Mother.
Leslie at osmail.com. Karen, what the bloody hell is going on? Just got rid of my mum and yours pulls up to stay. Do something. Mum's found out she's been burgled at home and was like a headless chicken till she left. Couldn't stand it anymore, so made some hash cookies to calm her down. Course, she's one of the tiny few it just makes hyper and paranoid, and I ended up wishing I hadn't bothered. She was practically climbing the walls. Suppose I should have learned my lesson last time she had some of my dope by mistake and I had to put her in the loony bin. Seriously, if your mother's thinking of staying here, I'm coming over to you. I'd got a new bloke I'd been gagging for lined up for tonight, and I thought at last I could bring him home. Yours, demented. I swear to God it's catching. Leslie.
Irene at thelimes.heathergreen.com. Dear Leslie, Vera, Cheryl Marie, Bubbles and Sabrina, how very odd to be writing to you all together. Arrived home in a chaos of emotion, having flown for 24 sleepless hours, completely wide awake and rigid with tension. Couldn't eat a thing on the plane, it all looked as if it would poison me. Thank heavens for those delicious little Mary Warner cakes you sent me off with, Leslie, otherwise I might have starved. You must show the recipe to Vera and see if she wants to include it in her book. Got here wrung out, dreading worst, finding the inexplicable. Too tired to go into it now, but wanted to let you have my new email address. Bought smashing little laptop, marvellous price, thoroughly recommend Chung Chang's cheap computers in Kuala Lumpur duty-free. Must sleep. Can't go on any longer. Would love to tell you of miracle and coming home to dream instead of nightmare, but I'm still feeling strange. So good to have the blood back in my legs, though. I could feel the benefit as soon as we were on the right side of the equator. Got to stop. Eyes closing. Neck like red-hot poker. Love, Irene/Mum/Granny. XXXZZZZZ.
Vera's Voyages at osmail.com. Dear Irene, the blood certainly rushed to my head on receipt of an email from my son-in-law, Singen. My daughter Karen has absconded with the triage nurse. Poor little Millie is an abandoned child before she's out of the incubator. Don't talk to me about chaos of emotion. Singen, with his schedule, has to rush to the hospital several times a day to feed the poor little mite with expressed breast milk. Only hope he remembers to defrost it. Baby Nelson has had to be farmed out to my son Howard and his partner Anthony on their sheep farm. Goodness knows how they'll manage with a herd of sheep as well. Looking after Nelson is a full-time job. Still, I suppose it'll be good practice for when they get their own baby. As you can imagine, I was poleaxed, but lovely Leslie came to the rescue. She said much as she would miss me, I was obviously needed at home straight away. She rushed around organising flights, has done all our packing, and is now in the kitchen baking some Mary Warner cakes for the journey. She says to send you her love and tell you she'll give me the recipe. Love, except I'll probably never feel it again, especially for Karen, Vera.
Karen at globetrotter.com. Dear Leslie, well, you did say do something. Love, Karen.